Let us now study the concept of eutectoid system. So here in eutectoid system we have only one case, whereas in case of eutectic system we had studied two cases. Whereas in case of eutectoid system we are going to deal with consideration of a particular solid member upon cooling that leads to two solids, solid 1 and solid 2. Similarly, when the solid 1 and solid 2 are heated, that results in one particular solid. So here, if we go with the concept of understanding the eutectoid system, it is actually a solid to solid transformation in which one solid phase is converted to two or more solids upon cooling. So this is the equation that results in the understanding of eutectoid system. Whenever we have a combination of two solids, okay, so we deal with the understanding of eutectoid system that two solids under heating process results in one solid, whereas one particular solid which is resulted under cooling purpose, we are going to take it as into two solids. That reaction of the material combination results in eutectoid system. So one of the simple example for that is iron carbon combination. So you can observe in this particular representation here, so we have the percentage of carbon and percentage of iron represented along the x-axis and temperature in degrees Celsius represented along y-axis. So here, the leftmost content replicates the presence of maximum of iron. The rightmost is the percentage in which the carbon is being considered. So here the maximum percentage of carbon is 2% represented, and in this particular case this diagram is the derivative of iron carbon equilibrium diagram. So means to say that a part of iron carbon equilibrium diagram, what you are going to study in the next session, that will be a case wherein this is derived. Okay, so here you can observe this is completely meant with respect to the particular example of iron carbon consideration. So here we have different phases of iron carbon combination based on the temperature and cooling time as well as the composition of iron and carbon. See, alpha represents alpha ferrite, gamma represent austenite, Fe3C is the combination of iron and carbon replicates cementite. Okay, so here the carbon content should be 6.67% to exactly bring it to the stage. So we are just taking the derivative out of it. So Fe3C represents cementite. So alpha plus Fe3C, the combination of alpha ferrite and cementite leads to a composition called as pearlite, and this is the phase wherein we have to think on when it comes to eutectoid system, because as in case of eutectic, here we get the eutectoid point and the composition will lead to pearlite, that is alpha plus Fe3C in case of eutectoid system. And the last one is gamma plus Fe3C. It is considered to be ledeburite, a phase in which iron carbon is being considered. So let us go with the understanding of the entire thing using this particular drawing here. So we have the gamma state, that is austenite state of iron carbon composition here. So here what happens, in case of this particular zone, that is the entire material, the combination of material is in completely solid state. So here what happens, the percentage of iron is considered here with a temperature of 910 degrees Celsius, wherein it is heated to a particular temperature, whereas the composition of carbon around 2% is heated to a particular temperature almost lesser than 910 degree Celsius. So here what happens, once these this particular solid, this is the combination of iron and carbon here, once this particular solid gets converted, or when it is being considered for cooling, that is when there is reduction in the temperature with respect to one particular solid, that leads to formation of two solids, that is alpha plus Fe3C, that is pearlite. Here you can just identify here, this is alpha plus Fe3C. So this is the composition of the eutectoid composition, what we say, wherein one particular solid, that is gamma austenite, is converting into, remember this, gamma is converting into alpha plus Fe3C composition, that is called as pearlite. So alpha is the alpha ferrite, Fe3 is cementite. The composition of those two solids is accountably taken as the pearlite, and this is the zone that represents the composition of getting a solid, one particular solid upon cooling getting converted to formation of two solids, that is alpha and Fe3C. Similarly, the composition, the respected composition is considered to be the eutectoid composition, wherein 0.8% of carbon and okay, 99.2% of iron is being considered here for the representation of the composition of eutectoid system. So here what happens, the corresponding reference wherein alpha plus Fe3 is being considered or composition is being defined, that represented as the composition as number 1. Similarly, when we go with the assessment of this, the temperature that leads to the conversion of the gamma solid into alpha plus Fe3C, that is alpha ferrite and cementite together or cumulatively called as perlite, and that particular temperature is called as TE, that is eutectoid temperature here, and respectively the temperature is 727 degree Celsius. So this is the basic understanding of eutectoid system. For further assessment, like how things are going with respect to the particular solid, because see, the entire availability here is one particular solid. Okay, this solid is made up of two solids, that is iron and carbon. You can just refer the same here. When two solids are heated, you are going to get one particular solid. Means to say that when iron and carbon are heated to a particular temperature, that has resulted in the formation of gamma, that is austenite. Similarly, when gamma is being cooled now, it consists of again iron and carbon. Once it is being cooled, that cooling is resulting in two solids. Okay, that two solids is nothing but alpha plus Fe3C. So this is the understanding of eutectoid system. For further assessment, we are going to take two more references, that is composition 2 and composition 3 here. So in case of composition 2, it is 0.5% of carbon and 99.5% of iron, and similarly in composition 3, it is 1.5% of carbon. So the iron percentage will be 98.5. So this is only for the purpose of understanding here. If we go with the assessment of composition 2, the point in which it comes in contact with the respective temperature is taken as T1 and further upon T2, and similarly T4 for the composition of 3 here. So here we have taken the representation of T3 that represents the eutectoid composition temperature and not with respect to position or composition number 2. So here what happens, if we go with the assessment of composition 2 here, the temperature T1 represents the transformation of gamma into the perlite, that is transformation of gamma into alpha plus of Fe3C. Okay, similarly upon further consideration of T2, which is not relevant to composition 2, but if we assess the T2 condition here before reaching the eutectoid temperature, it even results in the identification of cooling up of gamma towards the eutectoid composition. Similarly for composition 3 here, so T4 represents the temperature, that is corresponding temperature represents the cooling up of gamma, austenite gamma into eutectoid composition. So this is where the representation of any type of number of alloys, whatever we take, with respect to corresponding temperature of that composition, we are going to assess the behavior of the transformation from one solid, that is gamma, into two solids, that is alpha and Fe3C. So collectively alpha and Fe3C is considered to be a zone of perlite. So this is something on eutectoid system. The next topic what we are supposed to study is on Lever rule. Okay, so in case of Lever rule, it is the rule which defines the amount of different phases of the material which is present in the composition. So we have studied in the binary phase diagram the concept of liquidus, solidus, solid line as such. So considering these composition, to whatever extent we can identify the amount of liquid phase and solid phase is present in the composition is identified by the rule called as Lever rule. So how do you define Lever rule? Okay, it states that the relative amount of each phase is directly proportional to the length of the opposite arm or the lever which is considered here. So to go with the explanation, we are going to consider the constructive principle like this. Okay, so let us take an arm that is OMP, which is made up of two arms OM and OP that intersects at liquidus and solidus curve respectively. Means to say that OM should be liquidus, MP should be solidus curve. So that is where we are going to define the condition of amount of each phases present at one particular point of reference. Okay, so OM is liquidus line and MP is the solidus curve, and considering this too, when we have a line or a lever which is made up of those two arms, okay, so what happens is that here we are going to represent that in the constructive side. So let us have OM and OP a lever, that is OP being a lever made up of OM and OP conditions, whereas M is been fixed at a particular point, hence we have taken it as fulcrum here. We have two more representations, that is WL and WS here. So WL represents the weight or the amount of liquid phase present in the solution, whereas WS represents the amount or the weight of solid phase present in the solution. So you can just make it as clear as possible. See, OM is liquidus, MP is solidus. So OM, where is the representation of liquidus? MP representation of solidus. It is the content in which the presence is being identified. Now the lever rule states it is directly proportional to the opposite length of the arm. Okay, so directly proportional to the length of the opposite arm. So what happens in this case is that amount of liquid phase which is present at M will be, this is the liquidus line representation, that is OM, MP is the solidus line. So in the opposite length means to say that, so amount of liquid phase at M is equal to MP, that is opposite to the liquidus line, divided by OP, that is the overall length of the arm of consideration, into 100, which represents the value in percentage. Similarly, amount of solid phase at M is, okay, that is, this is liquidus and this is solidus. When we want solid, we have to take the opposite length, hence it is OM divided by OP into 100, that is OM by OP into 100, hence we get the value in percentage. So this is something on lever rule. So let us take a simple concept of intermediate phase, okay, intermediate phase, coring and homogenization now, and thereby we are going to solve the numerical on lever rule. Let us now focus on the simple topic intermediate phase and effect of non-equilibrium cooling. Okay, so in the previous case of eutectoid system, we have identified the combination of consideration of solid 1 getting converted into solid 1 and solid 2 upon cooling, wherein we have identified alpha plus Fe3C composition, that is perlite, in consideration of the combination with iron and carbon. So here what happens, alpha and Fe3C, if we take the two things separately, the Fe3C phase of the composition leads an intermediate phase, means to say that the intermediate phase is nothing but a compound made up of two or more elements, of which at least one is a metal. So you can just consider the Fe3 composition there. So wherein which the combination consists of at least one metal, and usually the intermediate phase form will always be crystalline in its structure. Okay, so that is where we have represented the example as Fe3C. So it is always correlated with the composition of two compounds with having at least one metal. Okay, so moving on with the next topic, effect of non-equilibrium cooling. So whenever we talk on the the cooling process, if the cooling is equilibriumly considered throughout its cycle, then it leads to one proper microstructure development in the composition or in the alloy. If it goes deferred, then that results in uneven formation of the microstructures in the alloy, out of which we have two cases to assess now. So one is coring. Here what happens is that when there is non-equilibrium coring being considered in the cooling process at that particular point of time, okay, certain core areas will have one composition while the other surrounding areas will have different composition, means that leads to a particular type of defect. Okay, so since the formation of core area with one type of composition than the surrounding area, this is one of the effect of non-equilibrium cooling called as coring. Okay, the second part is that whenever we go with the solidification or cooling process of the same, so we have two things to assess here. One is the solidifying zone at the initial stage as well as the solidifying zone at the later stage. Okay, so whenever we have the initial solidified zones which are richer in metal than the solidifying zones, means to say that the initial solidifying zone, if it consists of richer mixture of metal, than the solidifying zone which solidifies later, that leads to a defect in the composition or in the metal. To overcome this, we are going to introduce a heat treatment process called as homogenization, and homogenization is considering an alloy, and that alloy is heated to a temperature lower to the solidus and held for sufficient period of time. So this is one type of heat treatment process to bring unity in the transformation of the microstructures throughout the alloy. Okay, so solidus line and held for sufficient period where solid state diffusion takes place and produces uniform composition throughout the alloy. So whenever the first phase of homogenization what we have taken is the defect due to the non-equilibrium cooling. That is, the initial solidifying zone will consist of richer mixture than the later solidifying zone due to non-equilibrium cooling is the effect. To overcome this effect, we are going to introduce a heat treatment process called as the homogenization, which is defined as below here. It is, you are going to heat it to a particular temperature lower to solidus, and you are going to keep the material at that particular temperature itself for a period of time, so that solid state diffusion takes place and results in uniform composition throughout the alloy. Means to say that whenever there is a defect can be of any kind. Okay, it may be point defect, line defect, surface defect, volume defect, whatever it is, that defect should be overcome when it has been held at a particular temperature. So that is where we are going to study, or we are going to understand the concept of effect of non-equilibrium cooling. Now let us solve the numerical on lever rule. Okay, here when we take up the given data, the first thing what we are supposed to look upon is the construction of binary phase diagram, because whatever data will be given in the numerical, that will always lead to the capturing of the data to represent or construct the binary phase diagram, followed by the data which is considered to be the representation for the identification of parameter as per the lever rule. To generally it is the identification of composition with respect to particular temperature that represents the different phases, that is liquid, solid as such. Okay, so let us go with a simple numerical on the lever rule here. Here, as in the given data, it is to construct the copper and silver phase diagram using the data given, that is the melting temperature or melting point of the silver is given to be 960.5 degrees Celsius, melting point of copper is given 1085 degrees Celsius, eutectic point is given 779.4 degrees Celsius. Means to say that the composition is eutectic system. Okay, and the eutectic, once it is eutectic system, then obviously eutectic composition should be given, that is 28.1% of copper. Here we will be given with two data, that is maximum solubility and minimum solubility. Maximum solubility is given to be 8%, minimum solubility is given to be 2%. And it has been stated in the given data directly that the amount of liquidus, solidus and solvus line are straight. Means to say that the lines when we go with the construction of phase diagram should be straight line. Here, once this construction part is done, then we are supposed to calculate two parameters. Point number one, amount of eutectic in 20% of copper, 80% of silver at 700 degrees Celsius, followed by percentages and composition of solid phases in 60% of copper and 40% of silver alloy at 400 degrees Celsius. See, here it is the complete construction on the temperature versus compositions to identify different parameters. Okay, so whenever we get these type of numericals, we have to be very conscious in selecting the axis parameter with the scale. So hence I have given a note here to consider scale for x-axis and y-axis. See, it depends on the construction. Once we go with the solution of one numerical, we'll get to know what is how it is to be considered as the scale factor. So along the x-axis we know it is the composition, and along the y-axis we know it is the temperature in degree Celsius. Okay, so since we have two phases, two materials to be considered here, one is copper and one is silver, along the x-axis we'll take the composition. Okay, towards the left I have considered copper percentage to be 100, and towards right I have taken the silver percentage to be 100. Means to say that maximum percentage of copper is on the left side and maximum percentage of silver is on to the right side. Similarly, we are going to represent the given the data with respect to the composition. So the first point goes with melting point of silver to be 960.5 degree Celsius. So I'll take, since I have maximum percentage of silver onto my right, okay, I'll take 960.5 degree Celsius along the scale of temperature. That I'll represent it as point C here. Similarly, I have melting point of copper, that is 1085. So since I have copper to the left as the maximum percentage, I'll take the melting point of that as 1085 with respect to degree Celsius. Then I have one more point, that is eutectic point, 779.4 degrees Celsius. So what I am supposed to do is, with respect to 779.4 degrees Celsius, I have to draw the vertical line so that that temperature is the representation of eutectic system or eutectic composition. So that is where the eutectic system is being resultant. Okay, so that is 779.4 degrees Celsius. I am going to represent the horizontal line. Then what I am supposed to do, I have the eutectic composition being given, that is 28.1 percentage of copper. Since I have maximum percentage of copper represented along the left side, I have to start measuring the percentage of copper from the right side, that is from 0. So here the point Q represents the point wherein 28.1 percentage of copper is being considered. So along that particular point of, or the composition of copper, it is 28.1, we have to draw a vertical so that that vertical meets the eutectic temperature line 779.4 degrees Celsius, and that particular point is the eutectic point that is resulting in the solidification of copper and silver at 779.4 degree Celsius. So means to say that we have to draw this straight line from point A to B and C to B, and this point B is the eutectic point that represents the eutectic composition. Now it is not ended. We have two more parameters, maximum solubility and minimum solubility. So what we are supposed to do is, along the eutectic composition, what is the maximum solubility? It is 8%. So along that particular temperature, measure 8%, okay, on both the sides, because it is given to be same. Ag in copper and copper in Ag is 8%. Okay, so it is not different. If it is different, we have to measure differently from both the ends. Since it is common, we have to measure 8% along the scale on both the sides, and we are supposed to represent the point D and the point E that represents maximum solubility of copper and maximum solubility of silver. Okay. Similarly, we have been given with minimum solubility. Minimum solubility is 2%, and it is same again here. It is copper in silver and silver in copper is both to be 2%. So what we take, along the x-axis, that is along the composition line, with respect to 2% of silver, I will represent it as F. With respect to 2% of copper, I will represent it as G here. So this is the representation of, the minimum solubility of what? The copper and silver in the composition. Now once F and G are identified, once D and E are identified, then we are supposed to construct this straight line from A to D and D to F. Similarly from C to E and E to G. Now becomes the complete construction representing the liquidus line, that is AB and BC, the solidus line AD, DE and EC or CE, and the solvus line, that is DF and EG. So this is the complete representation of the binary phase diagram based on the given data. You can observe here, solidus line, liquidus line and solvus line should be straight lines. Okay, once this is done, okay, then we are going to calculate the two parameters which is to be taken into account. Okay, so you can just observe here, that is what we have represented. AB and BC, that is AB and BC are the liquidus line, and solidus line AD, DE and EC becomes solidus line, DF, EG becomes solvus line. Okay, this is according to the constructional data. Now what we are supposed to do is that we are supposed to identify two parameters. One is amount of eutectic in 20% copper and 80% silver at 700 degrees Celsius. So what we are supposed to do is that along 700 degrees Celsius, we have to first draw the horizontal line that represents the composition at which the temperature is to be taken. Okay, followed by what happens is, it is 20% of copper and 80% of silver. So measure the composition, 20% of copper, 80% of silver, draw a vertical reference. So this particular point is the reference line that gives us the data wherein we are going to identify the amount of eutectic, okay, at 700 degrees Celsius. So 700 degrees Celsius horizontal line, 20% of copper and 80% of silver vertical line. Wherever this particular line meets, that particular point is taken to be X here, and when that particular temperature wherein the eutectic composition is met is taken to be Z, and similarly wherein the temperature that is meeting the solvos line is taken to be Y here, because see, wherever the interaction goes there will always be assessment for the composition. Okay, so now we are going to identify the parameter of eutectic here based on the lever rule. I repeat, you have to draw the horizontal line with respect to 700 degrees Celsius and a vertical line that represent 20% of copper and 80% of silver here, so that the point of intersection as well as the line of temperature is taken into account for a eutectic system. Okay, so now you can observe here, for amount of eutectic in 20% copper and 80% of silver at 700 degrees Celsius with respect to lever rule. Okay, so we are going to apply, identify the percentage of eutectic. So we always know it is the opposite lever that represents the eutectic in the entire platform. So it is xy divided by yz. So overall length of the arm to that of the opposite arm of concern, that represents the percentage of what we are in need of. Okay, so since the overall length can be taken as yz here, okay, and in order to identify the eutectic we have to take the opposite arm, that is xy. Hence we have taken percentage of eutectic is xy by yz into 100. Here see, this particular entire representation, okay, has to be taken with scale here. So you can observe the values here. It is 20 minus 7.5. How we get 20 minus 7.5 to represent xy is from the observation what we have taken in the graph. Okay, see, since we know the composition is 20%, okay, so it is the representation of 20 that leads to x. Point x is at a distance of 20. Since we have taken x-axis is equal to 1 centimeter is equal to 10% of composition here, so it is the level of 20. But what do I need? I need the value of xy. So overall length from the border, that is from 0 to x, is 20 minus of the length between the 0 to the point of intersection y on the solvos line. So according to the scale what we have considered, it represents 7.5 is the divisions which is taken into account here. Hence 20 minus y to this particular point is 7.5. Okay, one common instruction here, since we know the maximum solubility is 8, definitely the line represents that it should be less than 8, and hence it is proven to be the correct representation or the graphical concern here. So it is the point y to the reference is 7.5. So total is 20 minus 7.5 gives me the value of xy. Hence it is taken as 20 minus 7.5 followed by yz. Okay, we know the point z is at a distance of 28.1% of copper. Hence since we have taken the divisions, so it is 28.1. Okay, minus what is the length of y to z here? We know y is at a distance of 7.5 divisions from the reference. So 28.1, that is from z to the reference 28.1 minus reference to y, it is 7.5 here. So that represents 28.1 minus 7.5. Hence the percentage of eutectic is 61% with respect to 20% of copper, 80% of silver at 700 degree Celsius. Okay, this is the first point. Now moving on with similarly for percentages and composition of solid phase here. Okay, to assess the solid phase, again we are going to take the 400 degrees Celsius reference here. Okay, along 400 degrees Celsius we do have different representation of P, Q, R here that leads to the identification of solid phase and the percentage and composition. Okay, so now let us take the second point. So to identify the percentages and composition of solid phase in 60% copper and 40% silver alloy at 400 degrees Celsius, percentage of eutectic goes with PR divided by RQ. okay, into 100, and followed by percentage of copper. If we take, it is PQ divided by RQ into 100. Okay, again the value of PR and RQ, value of PQ and RQ is to be taken with respect to the scales or the divisions how we have considered in the graph. Okay, I repeat, for the purpose of understanding here, we have taken along the x-axis, it is 1 centimeter is equal to 10% of composition, means to say that 1 millimeter is equal to 1% of composition along the x-axis. Okay, so now PR. So how to identify the value of PR here? Okay, so here PR is to be the value between this particular composition. Hence, so what is the composition here? It is 98% of copper we can take, and similar along x-axis you have to measure. Okay, you cannot take one at the top, one at the bottom. If you are taking along a copper, you have to measure it is in terms of copper composition itself. So what is the percentage of copper? It is 2%. Why it is 2%? Because it is the minimum solubility factor what we have taken. Okay, so it is 100 minus 2, it is 98. Okay, point of R is at a reference of 98 minus P is at a reference of 60% of copper, means to say that Rp is equal to 98 minus 60. That is the division, that is 98 minus 60. Now comes Rq. Where is the point Q? Q is exactly at 28.1% of copper, means to say that, okay, so from the reference, R is at a distance of 98. And from the reference, Q is at a distance of 28.1. So to measure RQ, it is 98 minus 28.1. So that gives us the percentage of eutectic, that is 46.2%. And similarly, what happens for copper now? It is PQ divided by RQ. So we know that, okay, P and Q to go with it. So it is 60% of copper. P is at, and Q is at 28.1% of copper from the reference. So 60 minus 28.1 gives me the length of PQ, the arm PQ. So that is 60 minus 28.1, followed by RQ, it is same, 98 minus 28.1. So that percentage is accountable for 53.8%. Okay, this is the percentage. Now comes the composition. Okay, so now with respect to R and with respect to Q, we have to identify the composition. So here, thus the composition of alpha corresponding or with respect to point R is what? It is 98% of copper and 2% of silver. So to what extent we have the composition of minimum solubility that leads to the percentage or the composition of alpha, that is, this alpha is at 98% of copper and 2% of silver. Okay, similarly for the composition of eutectic, okay, with respect to or corresponding to point Q, it is 28.1% of copper as well as 71.9% of silver. So this is where we are going to study the percentage and composition of various parameters as well as the amount of eutectic based on the application of Liver rule. Moving on to the last topic of module 2, that is effect of common alloying elements in steel and specification in steel. Okay, so these are the two parameters which are a short note like kind of questions wherein you people can expect in the exams. So what is the effect of common alloying elements in steel? See, there are plenty of components which results in plenty of variation in the parameters of the steel or variation in the properties of steel. So we have taken, for the instant of understanding, we have taken only 5 alloying elements that leads to variation in different properties in steel. Okay, first one being aluminum. So what is the effect of aluminum? Aluminum controls the grain size and grain growth before quenching. Quenching is the sudden cooling process wherein the composition is led to during the processing or manufacturing of a component. Okay, so before quenching, so if aluminum is added, that aluminum results in controlling the grain size and grain growth. What if the carbon content is included? If the carbon is included, it increases the hardness and tensile strength, but it decreases the ductility and weldability in the steel. So this is how the effect of carbon in, as an alloying element in steel is to be understood. And if it is chromium, it increases the corrosion resistance and hardenability in steel. Followed by copper. When the copper is present in greater than 0.3%, then it results in the corrosion resistance property. Means to say that if it is less than 0.3%, the corrosion resistance will not be taken into account. Followed by nickel. So nickel increases the hardness and impact strength. So the specifically impact strength is the focus in case of the addition of nickel. See, we have taken only 5. There are plenty of other parameters like phosphorus, silicon as such. Okay, so here whatever the way we consider, we are supposed to understand the effect of these components as alloy elements in case of steel, and how do that particular parameter results in the variation in the property, or what specific property in which the material is to be considered. Okay, next followed by the last topic, specification of steel. See, whenever we go with the identification of steel, it has to be identified with particular grades or particular standard. So hence, to specify the grade and standard, so we have 3 agents or bodies. One is AISI, that is American Iron and Steel Institute, SAE, Society of Automotive Engineers USA, and BIS, that is Bureau of Indian Standards. So these are the agencies that represents or defines the specification of steel that could be considered for various application. See, the representation or the specification of steel will be considered by a 4-digit series. So we have represented 1, 2, 3, 4. So these 4 digits are the representation for the steel and its specification. The first number in the 4-digit series represents the type of steel. So we have a categorization of steel, and it has been defined by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 as such. So the first digit represents the type of steel in the specification. Second digit represents the predominant alloy element in percentage. Okay, what is the percentage of that predominant alloy which is present in the steel is the second digit, and the last 2 digit represents the carbon content percentage divided by 100. Okay, so if a specification is considered by SAE, the representation will be SAE followed by 4 digits. If it is by Bureau of Indian Standards, the representation will be IS followed by 4 digits. So to assess this, we have taken one simple example, that is SAE 1035. Okay, so here SAE represents the standard or specification by Society of Automotive Engineers USA. 1, that is the first digit in the 4 series, represents the type of steel. That is 1 is represented here. 1 is for plain carbon steel. Okay, followed by 0. 0 represent the predominant alloy element percentage. Here in this particular specification and this particular type of steel, there is no alloy present. Hence the percentage becomes 0. Hence it is 0. 0 means no predominant alloy. Followed by the last 2 digits is the carbon content, that is 35. So 35 represents 35 divided by 100, that is 0.35% of carbon. Means to say that the specification of a particular content what has been taken is for a plain carbon steel, which consists of no predominant alloy, and it consists of 0.35% of the carbon present in the complete composition. So this is the understanding on specification of steel. So now we have understood the complete content which is been included in the curriculum by VTU for 18 MA 34 material science for 3rd semester mechanical engineering students. Thank you.